Hello and welcome to this James the Bike Guy, where today we're taking a look at the 2026 Specialized Sirrus X 3.0. This is their dual hybrid bike with some gravel intentions and the ability to carry you and your gear pretty much wherever you want to go. So in this video, we're going to go into the features and designs of this bike. We'll talk about who and what it's all about, as well as find out exactly what it weighs. The Specialized Sirrus X falls into Specialized hybrid lineup right next to its brethren, the Sirrus. And the major difference between those two bikes is the Sirrus X is coming through with a little more gravel-capable tires and a one-by-specific drivetrain to really allow this bike to be a good partner for some light gravels, some dirt roads, some hiking paths. Basically the things that you might want to take the bike on that's off of pavement, but is still well trodden and not too rough. And with that, that also gives a degree of confidence that you don't get out of a bike that comes with a slightly thinner and slicker tire. Now, in practicality, the Sirrus on its own is plenty rugged, but the Sirrus X just builds on that. And so if you're looking for a bike that, say, you want to be able to take on some of those dirt paths, be able to take with you if you go to campground, or be able to go ride somewhere where maybe there's just a little bit of sand on the trail, like down at the beach, well, the Sirrus X is going to aid in that confidence and capability over the Sirrus lineup. And in many ways, that's why I think that it makes sense that the Sirrus X is the better seller of the two, because it's just a more broadly rounded bike. And if we put that into, vehicle terms or car terms, think the Sirrus on its own is more like a sedan, whereas the Sirrus X is a bit more like an SUV. You wouldn't be taking your BMW X3, for instance, off on a rock crawling trail, but you would take it down a dirt path, feel good if you were going up north, things like that. And that's exactly what the Sirrus X is doing. And to help support it, the Sirrus X is utilizing Specialized own A1 butted aluminum. What that essentially means is the tubing is taper thick and thin spots. Typically the taper is going from where the butts are down towards the center of the tube, and then back, allowing for a thicker portion where it's going to get welded up against, say, the head tube, and they can transition that tubing shape and the taper of it to allow the bike to either ride a little bit softer, be a little bit stiffer in certain directions, and things like that. It's just a way to manipulate the tubing. And so this is an all aluminum frame. It does have aluminum internal cable routing all the way through the bike. And for the 3.0, which is 3 levels up in the lineup of Sirrus X, it then also transfers to an aluminum fork. So we have an alloy fork up front, which helps save some weight over the 1.0 and the 2.0, which both utilize a steel fork up front. And that combines with an alloy cockpit. So you've got an aluminum 31.8 handlebar and an aluminum stem on this bike, rocking back to the Specialized bridge saddle mounted up on an alloy 27.2 seat post. So a lot of features going together to help lighten up the bike. And then to allow it to ride a little bit better and a little faster, Specialized utilizes 700C wheels. So the 700C wheel size is the same as, say, what you would get on a road bike, which means that this is a slightly taller diameter than some of the competitor bikes that might be running either a 26 or a 650B wheel. So the 700C is a little bit larger, and then that mounts up with these Specialized Pathfinder tires, which are coming in at a 700 by 38 millimeter width. And that 38 millimeter width is going to give you some extra traction. And to make it roll fast, the center line of this tire is smooth. So while you're going straight down the road, the center line is contacting the road, rolling super smooth. And then if there's something a little wishy-washy on the side, you're on some dirt, well, then we've got that shoulder to be able to handle it there. And the other place that they're utilizing some nice technology to help this bike go, well, that's going to be in the drivetrain. New for 2026, the Sirrus X 3.0 is coming with Shimano's Cues drivetrain. And so this Cues drivetrain is a 1x10 system. It's going through an 11 to 48 tooth cassette. So you've got 48 teeth on the big ring. And what that's going to allow for is you're getting nearly 2x9 drivetrain gear range out of a 1x10. And so with that, you've got a lot less shifting that you have to do. It does also reduce one thing to go wrong, which would be that front derailleur, and allows you to have just a single ring up front, a nice clean setup, and that Shimano Cues derailleur that draws heavily from Shimano's mountain bike drivetrains. This drivetrain also features something called a clutch, which is this lever here that tightens up a clutch around the knuckle of the derailleur, which keeps the chain from kind of bouncing around. And so in practice, what that means is the chain is going to be much less likely to hit your frame, both keeping things cleaner and a heck of a lot quieter. But they do have this lever because it is difficult to move that derailleur forward, where you can turn it off when you're taking a wheel on and off of the bike, which allows the derailleur cage to move freely, making removal of the wheel much, much easier. Speaking of wheels, this is Specialized 700C alloy wheel. It's 32 spokes with 2.0 stainless steel spokes. So nice, solid wheel design. Not too much to talk about there, but it just brings together the durability and focus of this bike. Now, up on the handlebar, to be able to shift that Shimano Cues drivetrain, well, you've got a Cues shifter. Thumb button brings you to an easier gear, and then up front, you're then going to have an index finger. And so what that index finger position does is when you hit that, it pushes you back to a harder gear. You also can operate this particular Cues with your thumb to go to harder gear as well. So forward and then easier, just like that. Pretty neat setup. Last thing to talk about is, of course, braking, which on this bike is courtesy of Tektros 2-piston hydraulic brakes, clamping down on 160 millimeter rotors on the front and the rear. So now that we've gone through the features and designs of this particular Sirrus X 3.0, it's time to find out what it comes in and weighs. And the actual weight of the Specialized Sirrus X 3.0 in a size large comes in at a pretty respectable 25.22 pounds. Thanks for joining me to check out the 2026 Specialized Sirrus X 3.0. At $1,000, the bike does combine a lot of really neat features, the drivetrain upgrade for 2026, and a chassis and wheel design that's going to allow it to go and do just about anything you might want. So let me know down in the comment section below. Do you like this type of bike? Is there something you wish they would do to change the bike? And if not this, what else would you like to see?